Well, not that, but it's getting more complicated with his lawyer.
Yeah. I have been following that because that's all I could really find. I have Dershowitz with a two-parter.
Oh, I'd like to hear that.
Actually,
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, actually three-part. He was on NPR. He's been around. He seems to be the only guy they go to these days, although he was never on. He couldn't get on MSNBC or CNN for a while. He was on Fox, and that only brought down his...
initially, if you really followed his career, initially he was a raving lunatic liberal.
Right.
And he was on MSNBC all the time.
Well, I think he is. I think he still is a raving lunatic liberal.
I think he is too, but he has a different perspective. He's what I consider is to be a libertarian liberal.
Yeah.
And also he's a very structuralist. So whatever the law says, he really analyzes things. If you don't want to hear him become a liberal, and now he will defend conservatives. He's a little bit like the ACLU. And once he started doing that, they kicked him off those stations.
Well, let me
Oh, you can't. There's nothing good about Trump, period. If you say anything about him that even sounds sympathetic, you're off. Which is kind of the way people have been looking at us.
Let's listen to his issue with raids on lawyers' offices.
Well, I think raids of lawyers' offices should be reserved for the most extreme cases. And I propose new legislation, in fact, in an article on the Hill, saying that when a raid of a lawyer's office occurs, the raid should be accompanied by a judicial officer, a judge or a magistrate, who can make a preliminary determination as to what material is privileged. I'm not worried about the rights of the allegedly crooked lawyer or doctor or priest. What I'm worried about is the rights of the innocent client, patient, or penitent that may be swept up in the raid. And the taint teams that review this consist of FBI agents and U.S. attorneys. And that seems to me like a core violation of the Fourth and Sixth Amendment, to have government officials reading through material that may turn out ultimately to be privileged and confidential, and just simply saying, oh, it's okay, we're not going to use it in the criminal case. The risks of leaks are very, very high. And the very fact that government agents are reviewing your most confidential confessions to your priest or statements to your doctor or statements to your lawyer is very troubling.
Yeah, and he says it's really an issue of the Fifth and the Fourth Amendment. And
I said Fourth and Sixth.
He said Sixth?
I think so.
And and I like how, and really only in America, I don't think there's any other country that I know of that equates your relationship between you and your priest with you and your lawyer. That's a foreign concept over here for sure.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, attorney-client privilege? No, it's not. My understanding is it's not interpreted even close. Certainly not as a priest.
You have no privilege. You have no attorney. You can't talk to your attorney, or he can testify against you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well,
it sounds like Idiocracy, the movie.
Oh, the whole system. Well, in the Netherlands, they don't have enough. The judge pool is too small, so they take backup judges, and they are just lawyers from big law firms. So if you want to win, you got to hire the law firm who's going to supply a judge for your case.
That seems fair.
Actually, it seems more American than they realize. You mentioned the ACLU.
Civil libertarians should be concerned. Now, the ACLU came out in favor of the raid, not even neutral, just in favor of the raid.
I'm going to point that out to you.
Good raid. Right. It supported the rule of law. I've been active in the ACLU for 55 years. I was on its national board. I never remember a situation where the ACLU, without considering the implications for civil liberties of innocent people, came out and supported government's action. It seems to me that the ACLU is now more interested in getting Trump than they are in protecting the rights of all Americans. It's a scandal and it's a shame.
I have to admit, ACLU, what a bunch of douchebags. Not, just coming out and saying, oh, yeah, this is completely okay.
They were taken over by some liberal characters, Hillbots.
Right.
And I think this was in the last few years. And they have been messing up the place, as far as I can tell.
Well,
there was some documentary about this one guy who's just a stickler for. He's just a Hillbot. He's just a Hillary.
Okay, so
she got gypped. And Trump's got to go.
So there was a change. All right. Well, we have to look. I'll look into this. I want to find out who this guy is and how he came to power, because the law is the law. I mean, you can interpret things, but come on. And then this is really the clip I thought was the best of Dershowitz. He points out something that no one is really seeing, this incredible dilemma.
There's an important issue that hasn't been discussed this morning, and that is, under the law of the Second Circuit, statements made by one's lawyer can sometimes be attributed to that person. And that puts Trump into an interesting dilemma. If he denies that Cohen is his lawyer for these purposes, then he loses any claim of lawyer-client privilege. But if he acknowledges that he was his lawyer for these purposes, then statements attributed to Cohen regarding any case involving Trump could be attributed to Trump himself. So he's on the horns of a little bit of a dilemma here.
Yeah, I can see the problem.
Yeah, well, that's probably the idea.
Unless you just say, well, he was off the meter at that moment. He was working on his own. I don't think it would hold very well, but you could try.
Well, this is going to... The latest thing is they found that he was representing crooked cabbies or something, and maybe that's why they raided the place.
Yeah.
You heard that one?
No. Crooked cabbies?
One. Yeah, crooked cabbies.
No, I hadn't heard that.
Doesn't sound right.